What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Game Day with Trey. Of course, this is your host, Trey, and today we're going to talk about the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics for round one, game one of the NBA playoffs today, Sunday, to be played at 1 p.m. in Boston. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this game a little bit. So this line over under opened up at 209, and it was Boston minus 13 and a half. The line over under is still the same. It's still at 209, but it has since moved up on the line. Boston minus 14. All right, now, so when you talk about these two teams, you talk about the Miami Heat, who is a team who recently beat the Raptors, Hawks, and Bulls while losing to the Mavericks, Pacers, and 76ers. And when you're talking about Boston, the Celtics recently beat the Hornets and Wizards while losing to the Bucks and Knicks. All right, now, how much you could take into that? Because of how Boston had such a great lead in the East at the end of the season, take that with a grain of salt. All right. So, getting back into it, let's look at this injury report. All right. Now, Duncan Robinson is questionable dealing with left facet syndrome, leaving the status for game one for the Eastern Conference first round against the Celtics in question. Jimmy Buckets, he's out. Butler shut down with an MCL sprain in the right knee, and he will miss extended period of time. Terry Rozier, he's out, all right, due to neck spasms. And, but they don't even know when he's going to come back, all right? And then when you're looking at Boston, somehow, some way, they still got everybody on there questionable. Now, we all know everybody going to play, but I'm going to let you know anyway, okay? They got Derek White questionable, all right, hampered with left ankle sprain. Drew Holiday is limited due to patella tendinopathy. Jaylen Brown is still dealing with a left hand sprain. All right. Jason Tatum, he's still nursing a right knee contusion. All right. Al Horford, he's still got a left big toe sprain, and it's unclear. All of them are questionable. All right. Do I believe that they're really questionable and not going to play in this game? Nah, I don't. I know they're going to play. I believe in my heart of hearts that every single one of those players I just mentioned for Boston that was questionable will be out there for this game. This is game one, first game in the playoffs. Boston does want to actually probably put a stamp on this, man. I'm not going to lie. I think these boys come out here fired up. Okay, so when you're looking at this matchup, all right, you're looking at the number 26 offense for Miami, averaging 110.1 points on the season, versus Boston's fifth-ranked defense, only giving up 109.2 points on the season. And Boston's offense is averaging 120.6 points per game this season, which puts them at the second best offense in the NBA. So that means they got the second best offense and the fifth best defense. But Miami ain't no slack either. Now they got the number 2 overall defense in all of the NBA, only giving up 108.1 points per game. Where do I see a lane for Boston to have a line like this? Well, I mean, it's because of the field goal efficiency, the three-point efficiency that they have. All right, Boston shoots second best from three in the NBA at 38.8, but Miami's three-point efficiency defense, or opposed three-point percentage, is only number 4 in the NBA at 35.2%. So they're pretty good at stopping the three, but they still allow you to take them and make them, because when you look at the field goals per game that they actually make, that they give up, Miami is 16th in the NBA, man. They give up 13 threes made a game, and they allow you to take 36.9 threes a game. That puts them at 24th in the NBA, man. So they let you shoot the three. They don't get out there to defend it like they need to. But when you're playing a team like this, like who's number 1 in made threes, 16.5 made threes a game, all right, and they attempt 42.5 threes as a team per game, which is also number 1. When you talk about Boston like that, man, look, it's possible tough sledding, man. Like, that's why the line is what the line is. I know it seems like a crazy line. 14 points is like, man, Miami is still Miami even without Jimmy Buckets. They just do what they do. They do have Spoelstra, but you got to understand, this thing can get out of hand if Miami allows them to do what they do. If Miami doesn't get out there and defend that three, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a serious problem if Miami don't get out there and defend that three. They got to go out there and they got to play straight monkey D, like for real. There's no playing around on this one, man. All right, so when you're looking at head to head, the last 10 times these 10 teams have matched up out on the court, Boston does run this straight up 6-4. Okay, they have played 3 times this season. Boston won all 3 times, but against the spread, Miami has it 7-3 against the spread. All right, and when they played the 3 times this season, just so you know, Miami did cover 2 of those times. Once in Boston and once in Miami. All right, where they were getting 8 points, they were getting 9 points. Actually, the last time they saw each other was February 11th. The score was 110-106. And Miami covered the 8. The game went under the 225. Out of the 3 times they played this season, and went over twice and went under that very last time they saw each other. And that's why when you get to the over-unders, it looks at 5-5. So it's straight even on the over-unders last 10 times these 2 teams have seen each other out here on the court. All right, now when you're looking at it in the situation, straight up, I'm not going to front with you. Boston at home, okay, is 37-4. They lost 4 games as a home team this year, okay? So we already know why it is what it is. All right, as far as why things are set the way they're set. Okay, on the road, straight up, Miami is 11-15. I'm sorry, yeah, on the road, straight up, Miami is 24-18. All right, so they're not a bad road team, but when you look at against the spread, though, against the spread, as an away underdog, Miami comes in 17-9, whereas Boston, as a home favorite, is 22-17-2. But when you look a little bit deeper into the numbers, okay, with a rest advantage, Boston is 14-12-1 against the spread. And with a rest disadvantage, Miami actually comes in there 13-6-1 against the spread. So when they don't have a rest advantage, they still come out there and get done what needs to be done. All right. And when you look at, as far as the situation with over-under is concerned, as a home favorite, okay, Boston is 22-19, the same thing they were almost. So it's 22 to the over and 19 to the under, but almost the same exact record they had, which is the 22-17-2 against the spread. So yeah, it's when they do cover those spread games, it looks to me as if those games are going over. All right, now here's the thing though, as an away underdog, Miami is 9 to the over and 17 to the under. All right, so when Miami's in this situation, they are still going to force the situation a little bit and play defense, because when they got those away underdog wins, it's 17 against the spread and 9. So that means if they force the game to an under, all right, then they cover the spread. That's what happens. Okay, because you look at that, it's 17-9 against the spread, and it's 9 to the over, 17 to the under. So if they come out and play, it goes under, right? And when you look in this situation, as far as with rest advantages and rest disadvantages, it's the same thing it was with Boston and it was with Miami. All right, Boston is 17 to the over and 10 to the under when they have a rest advantage, and Miami is 6 to the under, 14 to the over. I'm sorry, 6 to the over, 14 to the under. All right, when they have a rest disadvantage. So once again, when it comes back in the inverse, almost exactly. Because remember, over here against the spread, with a rest disadvantage, Miami was 13-6-1 against the spread, man. So, it all comes down to how you're personally seeing this game. All right. Are you looking at the fact that in the last 3 games, Miami's averaging 111.3 points per game and giving up 99.7 points per game? Remember, those were playing games, guys, against Chicago and Philly. All right. And then they had, who they played last? The last game they played was against, in the regular season, it was against Toronto. So take that with a grain of salt. They're a slug. Okay, they're a slug, guys. All right, so when you get back to looking at this game, just from a pure how these 2 teams have been coming in. The last 10 games Miami's played, they are 6-4 straight up, 7-3 against the spread, and 8 to the over, 2 to the under. And then the last game they played against Chicago, that game went under, but the only reason that game went under is because Chicago didn't score. All right. If you had the team total over, the Miami team total over, which I had, then you hit on that, So the game actually did, if you look at it in that aspect, go over for Miami, while it went under as a total overall for the game. All right. So then you look at Boston. Boston comes in the last 10, 7-3 straight up, 3, 5-2 against the spread, and 7 to the over, 3 to the under. Now, remember, Boston was like playing around with all its food at the end of the season, man. Like they were really not focused for a couple of these games, even though they did have wins. Okay, but they still weren't as focused and lasered in as they normally were because they had such a large lead. They did not need, to keep pushing it to the limit. They weren't trying to break any records. They're trying to win a title this year. Okay, so with all that being said, all right, we all know that on the season, Miami averaged 108 points per game on the road and gave up 106.5 points. And Boston at home, they win 100. They score 123.1 and they give up 107.9. That means they win by 15.2 points per game. Hence, once again, the line is at 14. All right, so do we believe that Boston is going to cover that large number against an Eric Spoelstra-led Miami Heat, even without Jimmy Buckets? No, I don't think they're going to cover 14. My lean is to Miami plus the points. Total game under, over. I do think that the Celtics are going to go over their total points. I think Miami has a chance to go over its total points. But I think the Celtics is going to go over their total points. If I was leaning towards anything with the Celtics, but I really like that 14. I'm probably going to mess with that 14. I think the Heat can at least keep it within that, backdoor cover situation, whatever it may be. I know the Heat are going to come out and fight. And, so I'm going to have to rock with the Heat on this one. Now, if I'm looking for the over-under, like I said, I would probably lean towards the Celtics team total over the 110. Over the 110. Yeah, I could do the Celtics over the team total 110.5. I think that's highly possible right there. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe. I'm going to see you at the window. Peace.